Well, folks, it looks like we found the biggest copium drinker of the year, because according to Rachel Zegler, the only reason her version of Snow White is facing relentless criticism online is due to people's passion for the original film. Sure, Jan. Hey, y'all. Snarky J Cosplay here, and as of the time of this recording, we are less than a month away from the release of Disney's highly controversial live-action remake of Snow White. Now, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the drama surrounding this film, right? I mean, come on. We've been discussing it for 2 years at this point. Honestly, Rachel Zegler and Disney's obsession with live-action remakes have truly been the gifts that keep on taking. And by taking, I mean robbing me of my youth, my patience, and my sanity. By the time this movie actually hits theaters, I swear I'll have a head full of gray hair from the sheer stress of hearing about it. So, let's get right into it. Apparently, Rachel Zegler recently did an interview where she addressed the backlash surrounding the film. Unsurprisingly, you literally cannot talk about this Snow White remake without mentioning the overwhelming amount of controversy it has generated, which, by the way, is well-deserved. According to Variety, Zegler spoke with Vogue Mexico, and while I couldn't find the original article in Spanish, here's the translation of what she had to say regarding the backlash. I interpret people's sentiments towards this film as passion. What an honor to be part of something that people feel so passionately about. We're not always going to agree with everyone who surrounds us, and all we can do is our best. Ah, yes, an honor. Except, didn't she previously say the original movie wasn't a real love story? Didn't she heavily imply that the prince was a stalker? And let's not forget that she once suggested they could cut out her male co-star's entire role from the film. Let me refresh your memory. There is a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because, we cast a guy in the movie. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? So now, all of a sudden, it's an honor? Sure, Rachel. She then went on to say, I understand that the conversation comes from the community not wanting to be seen as a monolith, but the reality of being Latino and working in this industry is that we try to represent the entire diaspora. I know where I've been, I represent it in my narrative, and I carry it in my heart every day. No one can ever tell me that it's not a part of me. And finally, she wrapped it up with, we need to love them in the right direction. At the end of the day, I have a job to do that I'm really excited to do. I get to be a Latina princess. Let's just dive right into this. Since this was an interview with Vogue Mexico, it's understandable that they would ask her to lean into the Latina representation aspect of the film. But let's address the elephant in the room. Is Rachel Zegler's casting controversial because she doesn't look like the original Snow White? Well, yes, that's a giant part of it. However, let's not pretend that's the only criticism people have. I've seen plenty of backlash that has nothing to do with her ethnicity. Most of the outrage stems from her comments and her attitude toward the original film. She once clarified it that she found the 1937 classic to be creepy, claimed that she had no real connection to it, and essentially dismissed it as irrelevant. But now? Now that the movie is about to be released and Disney is scrambling to salvage its reputation, it's suddenly an honor? Spare me. This entire situation is an absolute mess, and Disney has no one to blame but themselves. They continue to churn out these live-action remakes, banking on nostalgia while simultaneously disrespecting the original films that people actually love. And it's getting old. Nobody asked for a feminist, anti-prince version of Snow White. Nobody wanted a strong, independent heroine who doesn't need anyone's help. People love Snow White because it's a classic fairy tale with traditional storytelling elements. But instead of honoring that, Disney decided to rewrite the story to fit a modern narrative, one that, quite frankly, audiences are tired of seeing, and let's be real, Rachel Zegler's behavior throughout this entire process hasn't helped. She's gone from mocking the original film to playing victim when backlash inevitably followed. At the end of the day, I think we all know how this story ends. Disney will release the movie. The film will flop at the box office. The studio will then blame the fans instead of taking responsibility for their missteps. And we'll all be sitting here, wondering why they keep doing this to themselves. The controversy surrounding Disney's live-action remake of Snow White has been nothing short of explosive. While remakes often stir up debates among die-hard fans, this particular film has generated an unprecedented level of backlash, one that goes far beyond nostalgia for the original. The heart of the issue isn't just the casting or the modernized story. It's the apparent disdain that the lead actress, Rachel Zegler, has for the original 1937 film and its core themes. To begin with, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just any movie. It was the foundation of Disney's empire. It was a groundbreaking film that set the stage for animated cinema as we know it today. So when Disney announced a remake, many fans were cautiously optimistic. That optimism quickly faded, however, as it became clear that this Snow White would be almost unrecognizable. Zegler's comments about the original film have been a major source of contention. She's repeatedly dismissed the classic as outdated, criticizing Snow White's character for being too passive and dependent on a prince. According to Zegler, this version of Snow White is different. She won't be dreaming of true love, but rather of becoming the leader she knows she can be. The prince? Entirely unnecessary. The romantic aspect? Completely cut out. On paper, there's nothing wrong with updating a story to align with contemporary values. However, what irks fans the most isn't the modernization itself, but the attitude with which it's being done. Zegler's remarks about the original film don't come across as respectful reinterpretations, but rather as open disdain. If you truly loved Snow White, why would you continuously trash it? If you're playing an iconic character, shouldn't you at least respect the source material? These are the questions fans are asking, and Disney doesn't seem to have any good answers. Zegler's stance on Snow White has also undergone a sudden shift. Not too long ago, she was making bold statements, dismissing the film's legacy and its portrayal of love. Now, she's preaching about the importance of loving people you disagree with. Some speculate that Disney may have stepped in, trying to repair the damage her comments have caused. After all, she's deleted several of her past posts that stirred controversy. But let's be real. The problems with this Snow White remake go beyond Zegler. The film itself looks, well, questionable, to say the least. The CGI, from what we've seen, is unsettling. Instead of the classic Seven Dwarfs, we have a group of CGI-heavy, generic characters that look like they belong in a straight-to-streaming fantasy movie. It's not just uninspired, it's outright creepy. And then there's the evil queen, played by Gal Gadot. While she may have the looks for the role, her acting has been widely criticized. Many argue that she simply doesn't have the range to pull off a menacing, iconic villain like the evil queen. When the antagonist of a Snow White movie is as flat as a wooden plank, it's hard to get excited about the film. Production issues have only added fuel to the fire. Reports suggest that the movie has undergone extensive reshoots, sending its budget skyrocketing into astronomical numbers. If The Little Mermaid, 2023, is any indication, high budgets don't guarantee success. Despite making $500 million at the box office, The Little Mermaid still lost Disney money due to its overblown production costs. Snow White seems destined to follow the same path, an expensive project that ultimately struggles to turn a profit. But the real damage from this remake isn't financial, it's reputational. Disney has cast an actress who appears to resent everything the company once stood for. She doesn't believe in love stories, she doesn't appreciate the significance of Snow White, and she doesn't seem to care about the fans who do. It's one thing to reinterpret a beloved film. It's another to openly dismiss and insult its legacy. So no, the backlash against this movie isn't just about nostalgia. It's not just about people clinging to the past. It's about a remake that feels more like a rejection of its source material than a tribute. The problem isn't that audiences are unwilling to embrace change. It's that the change being presented is uninspired, dismissive, and, quite frankly, unnecessary. Fans aren't criticizing this remake because they love the original too much to accept something new. They're criticizing it because everything about it, from the bizarre CGI to the disinterested lead actress, suggests that it's going to be a disaster. And if it turns out as poorly as expected, it won't be because people were too attached to the original. It will be because this version of Snow White never gave audiences a reason to care in the first place. That's all from me. I've been Snarky J, and I appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and be sure to follow me on Instagram for extra updates. If you'd like to support my work and see exclusive photo shoots and cosplay content, consider subscribing to my Patreon. I'll drop the links in the description below. And of course, let me know your thoughts on Rachel Zegler's comments and the Snow White remake in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.